here. So let's do this. As I indicated, we will start with a meditation and then open up for any questions. I do have some questions that some people have already sent to me, so I can start with that, and that would give you some time to think about others. So perhaps that's really the main purpose of this get-together, is the satsang. And so looking forward to your questions and being able to have the ability to answer them to the best of my ability. But before that, let's just do a meditation. Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantikaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Nityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. As we all know, the purpose of Nididhyasanam in Vedanta is the ability to look at the person behind the roles. We are so involved in playing our roles that we have very little opportunity to inquire into the basic person who is playing the roles. So with this Nididhyasanam, I do a very simple sankalpa. Which is to ask for Ishvara's help and a direction to my own mind that for this short duration I want to inquire into the person. So very briefly, the steps to be prepared for Nididhyasana. We have all gone through that in more detail, but just a few steps. I become aware of my sense organs. Represented by the one sense organ which is present throughout my body, which is the sense of touch. I observe the points of touch throughout my body. My feet touching the ground. My thighs touching the chair. My hands touching my lap. My fingers touching each other. My eyelashes gently touching each other. You can even disengage them ever so briefly and then bring them back to touch each other. I observe my body and observe any stored tension. From the very top of the body, I review, pause, and help the portions of the body that is storing any tension. My eyes relax. My neck the stomach muscles. We will look into my thoughts as part of the Nididhyasana. But the final step before the Nididhyasana is to observe my breath. I see how effortlessly the oxygen is taken in by my breathing apparatus, expelling the carbon dioxide. beautiful connection between outside and inside. I pray to Ishvara to help me transcend from Jivatma to Paramatma. I request Ishvara to bring to my mind his teachings of transcending the Jivatma to Paramatma. Seeing that there is no real difference except for my non-understanding. As a Jivatma, I see that I am a Sakshi, but my entire emphasis, my entire preoccupation is what I see. The Sakshi, as part of Jivatma, is ignored by me. I am oblivious of it. I disrespect it. As our acharyas have repeatedly said, look at the example of a wave of the ocean. If the wave had consciousness, This would be like the wave be completely preoccupied by what's happening to it, how it's changing, how it is getting affected by its neighbors, by the world outside. That would be like the wave Atma. The ocean Atma is simply the wave being taught and having the ability to appreciate that it is more than just a wave. In fact, it is the entire ocean. Very similar to that is what is happening to the Jivatma. It is entirely focused and involved with the mind, the thoughts, the happenings, the experiences, totally involved. And the Sakshi is just a quality to appreciate your experiences. That's all. But with the teaching, we enlarge our vision. The conscious entity called Jnanam, in English translated as consciousness, but the person who is totally awareful, always present, independent of what you observe, independent of time, of space, independent period. Svatasiddha, self-existing, self-aware. In that vision, what you see, what you experience, what is happening has a very minor, insignificant role appreciate Ishvara's teaching that look, you don't have to do anything. All you need to do is to appreciate myself as a Paramatma. Always conscious, independent, and the various thoughts and experiences are your glory. They are your ornamentation. You are the substance behind the orientation, the ornamentation. Appreciate yourself as the person. The vastu. This is Nididhyasana. It is to transform by purely my appreciation, to go from Jivatma to Paramatma. So in going to the next aspect of today, which is a satsang, which is a question answers. Just a couple of observations, and then we'll open it up. So, the current course that we are taking with the Mandukya Upanishad and Gaudapadacharyaji's Karika, as I mentioned to you, is a very advanced Vedanta. And something that even I had not appreciated until I started to study it. And all of my previous study is not only not wasted, but it was very appropriate for me to come to the stage of being able to appreciate what this is. It took me a while. So what I would say to you is that in terms of my answers to your questions and so on, I'm also going to keep in mind that this course represents a step up of understanding, which is Paramartha Satyam, not Vyavaharika Satyam. A lot of our questions and etc. are related to Vyavaharika Satyam. But when it comes to Paramarthika Satyam, they take a different meaning altogether. And so, Mandukya Upanishad really should be studied almost at the very last point of one's. Why? Because it finally puts together the essence of what we need to do. And the essence of that is, as you know, it's easily said but more difficult to grasp initially, is that really our life is like a dream. And we take it too seriously. And we get involved with things. And the way to get out of that is to appreciate that it's a dream and to enhance that understanding that it's a dream, you have to start taking things not seriously. So the question is, what is sadhana, what is sadhya? And you cannot appreciate it's a dream until you begin to turn your mind to see that I'm taking things very seriously. What is happening to me, what this, that, or the other, I'm taking so seriously. And I have some of the questions that people have asked in mind when I'm saying this. So please forgive me if my final answer to your question, I can be sympathetic to your questions, but my final answer to your questions will be in view of this more advanced understanding of the Mandukya and Karika, that it doesn't matter. You are what matters. What is happening to you doesn't matter. So forgive me for being so highbrow about it and so on. But then the fact is that what comes first? You cannot appreciate it's a dream until you're ready to give up a little bit. And as you become more giving up of the seriousness of what's happening to you, the better appreciation you have that this is a dream. Anyway, I just wanted to make some general comments to that. So, there were two people that had written questions to me, so I'll just briefly talk about them, and then I'll open it up for others. So one person had recently said to me that she is bothered by some regrets in her life. She feels badly about some things that perhaps she might have done or things might have happened. I don't know the circumstances. But that she can't seem to get rid of this feeling of guilt. And it's getting a little better because of the study, but what should my advice would be? Well, my advice would be based on what I said earlier, is that why do you want to hang on to old things? Let things go. They happened and so on. What matters is who are you now? What are you doing? Where are you going? That is really what your emphasis should be. Give up this feeling of, we have all done things. Everybody has done things that we regret. This is very human. Perhaps some people might have done more things. You know, it's interesting. When I was in Italy, Bobby and I were in Italy, we were visiting the churches and so on. And you know, they have these confession booths. You must have seen it. Yeah. So I had heard about these confession booths, you know, from my study, but I didn't realize that they are for real. They were people were watching the church and so on, and I was actually trying to eavesdrop to see what's going on. They were actually, a person was sitting there and saying, Father, you know, I have sinned and this, that, or the other. It's a very good thing. So you just get it out of your system. And what would the Father say? The Father would say, it's okay. All right, whatever you've done is done. Let's go on with it. So really, that's the lesson of Vedanta too, is that please don't take that seriously. Don't even take things seriously as they're happening to you now. Don't even do that. Just have a certain smile. Oh my gosh. But leave aside the past. Because the more you hang on to it, the more foolish you are, really. That's the word I would use, is stupidity. Let go. Let's go of it. Just start, because we all have very limited energies, limited emotions. Concentrate on living now. So that would be my one answer to that. If the person wants to identify themselves and ask any further questions, I'll be happy to answer. But that's the one thing. Then the second person had asked something very similar, but she had actually sent me 2 or 3 emails. One of them had, of course, a very important question. And she said that it bothers me beyond everything else. Why is there dukkha in life? Why was this created? And I think most of us have that question in the back of our minds. I certainly did. It was finally answered in going through the teachings of Swami Akhandananda. I mean, many of our acharyas, including Swami Dayanand Ji and so on, they were also saying the same thing. You know, this is the way it is. But I took it wrongly, saying what cannot be cured must be endured is the wrong thing. But this teaching finally showed me that this is the wrong question. And there's a very beautiful answer to that. But I'm sorry to say, this is too short a time for me to explain that. So for that, please keep attending my Saturday classes. No, seriously, I think it will come. Because my understanding also came slowly, but I think now I do understand it. I don't have that question anymore. And so that will take time, but it will all come in that course. Then so this is one that she had sent to me several weeks ago. Then last couple of weeks ago, she sent me a couple of times, and which said that, not a couple of items rather, that, let me try to see. So yeah, one was organ donation. What do we, if we are going to go to thinking that we're going to go to the next life, if we are not completely done, then what should we do with organ donation? This is one aspect. The second one was euthanasia, where you put somebody to sleep by medicines. What does Vedanta think about it? So both of them, what I would answer would be that it really is not that important. If you feel that you are a better person by sharing your organs after you're dead, please do so. Yeah, absolutely. If you feel good about it. If you feel that it is not that helpful in terms of the totality of problems and so on, that also is a good view. So, I'm not planning to do anything like that. So, but if somebody else says that, that is acceptable. As far as euthanasia is concerned, Vedanta says no. Do not take matters in your own hand. The exception would be if you are very, very close to, like this happened, my wife's first cousin, 2 days ago. She had a massive stroke just 2 days ago. And so they took her to the hospital, and they said she had such a great brain hemorrhage that she could not even survive for very long. So should we prolong her life for? So all the children said no. That's okay, but otherwise to take a decision based on when it should be done, when should not be done, don't do it. Let Ishvara take care of it and so on. That's my just answer to that question. Anyway, I'm done. And if you don't have any questions, we can have lunch. Rani?
So my question is somewhat related to the earlier questions you've answered. So we've all done a number of deeds karma in our past, right? Either knowingly that they were not to be done or unknowingly bhul mein. And Gita very clearly says that there is a karma phala for every karma you have done, whether it comes and fructifies in this life or next life, who knows, it's up to Ishvara for that. So what can we do? So Jnanam is one way of knowing who you are, right? Understanding ourselves, what our true nature is. But the karma that we have done, what is the best way to burn your sanchit karma or the karmas you have already done? So you have already taken birth as a result of some product karmas that you will go through in this life. But so that our next lives or our next births can be, in whatever way better or not having riddled with the karmas that we have done. What is the best way to, and is there a way, and what's the best way to try and not fructify those karmas that have been done?
Okay. So this is where what's called the prayashchitta karma comes in. So prayashchitta karma means remedial actions to a certain extent. So we're all familiar with that. If you fall down and break a bone, then that it's important that you take a treatment for it. If you fall sick, that it is important that you, like for example, I was very sick for the last 2-3 weeks. It turned into secondary infection and my asthma, and I couldn't breathe and so on. But that was all part of Ishvara's some previous thing that I had to break, because I'm asthmatic and so I have a lot of physical problems. But you know what? It's all part of life, and you take the treatment for it as best you can, and then it's gone, so on. So the prayashchitta karma is an important part of what you can do for karma phala. Okay? And there the Rudram is considered to be the best prayaschitta karma. To understand Rudram, to chant Rudram is, Swami Dayanand used to say, this is by far the best. Okay? But again, I go back to the old one. To the extent that you are having some issues, like for example, when I was sick, I could not study, let alone teach. It was very difficult. I could meditate and so on, but my whole study, etc., had to be postponed, happily postponed. Because I cannot do that, it's okay, I'll come back to it. Do not be too concerned about karma phala. Again, the same message. If you have some limited energy to think, study to understand this is a dream. This is pointless to go. It's a forever thing. It will never end. New karmas will come up, new phalas will come up. And it's just like saying, I'm going to be only happy if all the waves of the ocean dry down. Then I will understand that I am the water. This is so silly. So do whatever is necessary that is bothering you at the moment and ask for forgiveness. Yeah, so the other aspect I would say is the prayaschitta karma is a very powerful karma because it says, I am sorry. This is exactly like that. If you're having to fight with someone and so on, whatever you say, I'm sorry. And when you say that, you feel better and the other person also feels better and it's done with. But don't overdo it. Only when it is necessary, do prayaschitta karma. Otherwise, go back to the study. That's the main thing.
So Guruji, so if you listen to many of the sons, and they're quite siddha sons, one of the things that they emphasize on is Nam Japa. Is that, whoever your Ishta Dev is, or Devta is, or whoever you believe in, that you just do a lot of Nam Japa.
Very important.
And that
very good.
Really
Excellent.
burns the excellent.
Excellent. Nama Japa is... but the Nama Japa should also be backed by understanding. Even if it is not backed by understanding, it is still very powerful, no doubt about it. But if it is accompanied by a study which enhances the efficacy of the Nama Japa, it's a very beautiful one to gain ekagrata. Yes, absolutely.
Hari Om Guruji. First of all, I apologize for being late.
No problem.
It was unusually traffic. So I have two questions. First, I want to go back to your first question, and I want to say my view. The way I handle that. So I remember Swami Dayananda always says that you cannot get freedom from all the karmas. You can get freedom from the karta. Because there is a million karmas I might have done in this life and the previous life. Exhausting one after the, each of the vasanas, each of the karmas is not feasible. But if I get freedom from the karta, I'm not the karta, I'm not the bhokta, that automatically relieves me for all the karmas.
Totally. Yes.
Okay. My second question is, I think I also sent you an email. This is something lingering in my mind for continuously. So basically, in my mind, the Atma reveals, or the Brahman reveals as Aham in my mind, which is a conscious being. So I understand that it is there in all the three states, waking state, dream state, and the sleeping state. Waking state, this Aham takes a different roles When I see something, I'm a seer. When I do something, I'm a doer. I kind of understand the person versus personality analogy used there. When we in this analogy, person versus personality, my understanding is personality is the role I play. Like I'm the karta, is a personality. I'm a bhokta, is a personality.
True.
It's a personality.
True.
Suppose I see things, there is a form, you are there before me. I'm not doing any action to see you. Perception happens without any motive, any will, any will.
Right.
Would you characterize that seeing also as a personality, as a role? I believe so, but I just want to confirm that.
Yes, that also is a role. Everything that happens, either being quiet, being thoughtless, this will go through this in our course. So really speaking, even being quiet, not observe, not really actively being a karta, bhokta, all of that is still a role. Why is it still a role? And in fact, I would extend the analogy to include deep sleep.
I was going there.
So, you see, this is the thing. What we should appreciate is that even in deep sleep, where there is no kartritvam, there is no bhoktritvam, no observing of anybody else other than you, none of that is there. In fact, the mind is not there at all. That should be freedom. But it's not. You know why? Because you know what you are not, but you don't know who you are. So this is why, and in fact the same thing is true. This is a very big discussion, a very big treatment about against yoga, yogic system, that somehow if I can do samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, I will be okay. No, you have nirvikalpa samadhi every night and you are still not okay. So this is a pipe dream to say that if I'm going to all my life, if I can just remove all my dreams, all my thoughts, etc. No. So all of that is still part of a personality. And the person would be when you begin to see the self. Who am I? And you see that in waking state only. And you do that by a guru that can convince you face to face. Hey, what are you talking about? You are the very person who is independent. And so it is backed by the teaching, but backed by a face-to-face talk with a guru, and all of those kinds of things. So Tattvamasi has to be done. When that happens, then it's a different thing altogether, because whether you are a karta, whether you are a non-karta, all of that just goes away. Yeah.
So in this context, when we say person, is it the non-changing aham, or is it the jiva part of it? My understanding is in this like I do different roles. Those are all personalities, but the person is the non-changing. In every thought, there is a consciousness, and that consciousness is what is referred here as a person.
Correct.
Like seer, hearer, thinker. There's a er, there's a in every role I play.
Right.
That is the person which is a non-changing person.
So, are you telling me something, or you're asking a question?
I want to understand. I want to understand. Is that?
When did you come? Were you there for the meditation?
No, I was in meditation.
Okay, so I think you should go back and look at the.
Okay.
So what we said was in meditation that the transformation that I'm looking for by understanding is to go from Jivatma to Paramatma. And the only difference there is that in the Jivatma, as the analogy I showed in the meditation of a wave of the ocean, there you also have the two parts. The two parts are a Sakshi. This is for a Jivatma. You have the Sakshi and the Sakshya. Sakshya means what is seen is Sakshya, and Sakshi is the one who is a seer. So you use the same old Drik, Dreshya, Viveka and so on. But in the Jivatma's view, in view meaning my conclusion as to who I am, the whole question is, who am I? So in that conclusion, there are two parts. One is that I'm a Sakshi, and the other one is that I'm a Sakshya. But in that conclusion, the overwhelming part that I have is Sakshya, not Sakshi. The Sakshi is just kind of like I'm aware of things, but really what am I aware of? What's happening to me? How life is treating me? That is what my concern is. Okay? So this is exactly like a wave of the ocean. So the wave of the ocean is told, look, you got it completely wrong. Your emphasis is completely wrong. The portions don't, the ingredients don't change. The Sakshi remains the Sakshi, the Sakshya remains the Sakshya. But the question is, where is your conclusion? Your conclusion should be, I am the independent Sakshi. Oh my goodness, I'm independent of time. I was never born. There's no possibility of my dying. Do you appreciate that? No, I don't appreciate that, because that is exactly what a Paramatma is. So this is what we have to do. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji.
Raj had a question. Raj, you can just say it and then.
I was wondering about the term karma rahitya. Is it a state one has to reach in your spiritual path to get moksha, or is it a process?
Okay, repeat that question one more time.
Yes, I was wondering about the term karma rahitya. Is it a state one has to reach in the spiritual path before you get moksha, or is it an act of sadhana?
No, so I think we've been discussing that also. That I think as the discussions also here goes, that really there is no end to karma. So to look for karma rahityam is not the right thing. It doesn't make any sense. You'll never be able to get rid of it, because there is always avidya, kama and karma, and it just goes on and on and on, and so that will never happen. So naishkarmya siddhi, naishkarmyam, naishkarmyata is now. You have to understand it that while you are doing karmas, you're not doing karmas. And so all it is really in the analogy of what happens is that, I remember Swami Dayananji gave this beautiful example, it always stuck with me, that there is a woman, there is a mother with a 3-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old daughter. And she's an in those days we used to call them actresses, now everybody's an actor. I don't understand how that came about. That confuses the heck out of me. But anyway, I'll go back to so she was an actress, and she used to play a role of a battered woman. Okay? And so normally she would leave the kids home. And One time her babysitter was not there, so she had to take both of them. So she told both of them, listen, girls, I am going to be very busy doing that, and this play has where I am battered and all that. Don't worry about it. You just do your homework on the side. So the play started, and the 3-year-old started to see that somebody is slapping my mom and beating her up and this, that, or the other. She left her homework and she goes to the stage and says, Mom, what's happening to you? And the whole curtain has to be fallen down. What is going on here? So this 9-year-old kept going, no, it's just a play. Don't worry about it. It's okay. The 3-year-old doesn't understand. What is a play? What is not a play? She doesn't want her mom to be hurt. This is our situation. Karma phala, and this, that, or the other. It's so serious. I have to become rid of all these. When will this happen? What will this, that, or the other? Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening, and if it is happening, it is not to you, it is what is happening to what you are seeing. There is nothing happening to you. And that requires for me to become from a 3-year-old to a 9-year-old. To be able to see the distinction between what is reality, what is not reality. And that should be done now, not later. Not wait for all the karmas to come down, not this or the other. And so the best way to grow up is to understand the finality of what this is. This is just like a dream. It's just that we said, no, this cannot be like a dream. What are you talking about? My car has broken down. This is not a dream. I have mortgages to pay, this or the other. This is all part of the elaborate dream. This is what Maya Shakti is. Nothing is broken down, no mortgages to pay. You are still the same. You'll always remain the same. This has to be appreciated. So anyway, I don't know if that hopefully answers your question.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you mentioned that we take life seriously and we should let go. And supposing we have some grudges and we let go, but if somebody else holds grudges against us, is it still our responsibility to make sure that they understand, or should we just accept them as they are?
Accept them as they are. You cannot change people's opinions to a large extent. Do the best you can to help them to understand. But if they continue to have a grudge against them, just smile and say, that's okay. That's okay. I think that really speaking, the only reason you want others not to have a grudge against you is it because it bothers you that they are still continuing to have a grudge. Everything becomes personal. And so the more you let go of your own feelings, the better off you will be. Yeah.
Just wanted to go back to the earlier questions.
Yes, Sanjeev.
We've talked in the past in the classes about, drishti, shrishti, vada, and shrishti, drishti. So is that sort of what drishti, shrishti is?
Yeah,
focus on the person?
I tell you, it wasn't until I started really studying this thesis by Swami Akhandananda that this whole thing about Srishti, Drishti, Ekajivavada, not being born, the whole thing just finally came together. And now you cannot convince me of anything. Once I see something, that's it. That you cannot see, close your eyes. It is all drishti srishti. And as we will see, very briefly I'll mention it, but we will of course work on it in our classes. You are what you think you are. And you have a complete control over what you want to be. You are already what you should be, but you don't understand it. That's it. So just don't worry about anything else. Just be satisfied with the help of Paramatma. And what you see is your own creation. You know, I'm going to just briefly mention now, and you will all say, is he gone crazy or what? But quite frankly, I mean, this is, the thing that I really appreciate about the works by Swami Akhandananda is not just him talking, but the beautiful transcription of the books that have been created. And of course, it's in Hindi and Sanskrit, so that helps a lot. But the details of his talks are very convincing to me. So, and also, the other thing I would mention is he himself, I mean, that makes me feel better. For most of his life, he did not understand this. He was also looking for answers by going to various Mahatmas. In one of the recent books that I studied about him, he just made that admission. He says, I was talking as though it is true, but I didn't quite get it. But he says, finally it dawned on me. So from that perspective, really, many of these sadhus and swamis and so on, they're also like us. They're also trying to see their looks. Look, there are very few Mahatmas that really got it together. And that vision is just amazing. So as part of that, let me just tell you something that you might think I'm crazy. Because I thought Swamiji was crazy, Swami Akhandananda. He said, can I tell you something? There is no heaven, no hell, nowhere to go. This is all our imagination. You create because of your study. You study that, if you do this, then you will go to Vaikuntha. Then those ideas become it's just like stories that you hear, and they become real in your own mind. And then you say, that's where I want to go. Okay? So there's various ways of being close to Ishvara and so on, and it appeals to you. Why? Because this is how your thinking is at this point. So when you go to the next life, based on your karmas, that is what you are creating. You are not going anywhere. At this point, wherever you are, you've always been at this point. Always been at this point. Always. Never. It's not as though it started. And you're not going anywhere. It's only a question of what you see. And if you don't see it really well, then please take the help of the teaching to say, this is the vision of the Mahatmas. So in the vision of the Mahatma, there is really no heaven, no afterlife, no nothing. You create it on your own. Don't create it. Just be who you are by understanding the truth about the Vedantic truth. That's it. Sorry, Akshay. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Vijayji. Just a couple of thoughts come to my mind as you are talking. One of the great things about listening to you, attending yours and others' classes is to understand Bhagavad Gita even better. as you're talking, it just reminds me of Krishna saying two apparently contradictory but actually paradoxical quote. Kalpakshe punasthane kalpado visvajatamaham. And then it says, Nachamam tani karmani nibandhanti dhananjaya. It is exactly what you are saying. None of these actions that you perceive, I mean, because I'm not the Karta. And that sums up, and that is what I'm saying, that listening to and studying all this allows the layers of Bhagavad Gita to reveal in an incredible way. And that's been one of the great benefit of listening to all this.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita is a very remarkable text because just like in the Vedas, you see the Veda, it reflects the Vedas. Just to give that point that you were making. See, the Vedas has both a karma section and a upasana section and a jnana section. So all three of them are there in the Vedas. The question is, what is the end point about the Vedas? It is jnana. So the question is, why aren't you just talking about jnana? Why are you asking people to do the other things at the same time? Because our growth is gradual. Everybody is not the same, and you cannot just, it is like teaching E is equal to mc squared in kindergarten. You cannot do that. You have to let people grow. So Bhagavad Gita also is a very beautiful text because it contains the entire Veda. So there is a karma section, there is a karma phala section, there is upasana section, there is all those kinds of things. But then it has the final answer also in there. That there is no karma, there is no beginning, no end, you are what you are. Hey, Arjuna, grow up, you and I are the same, you don't see it, I see it, that's the only difference between us, there's nothing to be done. So, yeah, it's a very beautiful text.
That's why it said, Dasinavat vasad asitam, asatmanteshu karmasu. And that is exactly what I feel that Mandukya Upanishad is saying. The sprinkles of Mandukya Upanishad right there in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, the Mandukya Upanishad is that it eventually you have to come down to this is a dream. How do you understand this is a dream? You have to look at the example of the dream, how it looks very real, etc. So, I don't know if you, I think it was in the last class that I talked about it, that the dream is a very good pramana. You see, the question is, we are not convinced of anything until there is a pramana. And the pramana is your own experience that really what looks to be so real and damaging is really nothing. So that is the proof that now you have to transfer to a bigger scale at the Jagrata Avastha. That is the whole ball game. That's why the Mandukya Upanishad is the final one where now I have to understand the whole thing is just a make-believe. That's it. Once you understand that, life becomes a completely different way of looking at it. There were a couple of other class. I think, sorry, you were next, yes.
There's a question from Shantakumar.
Okay, why don't you tell me that?
Just a follow-up to something that you've been talking about. This question is, can we work to increase sadhana chatushtaya, karma yoga and Vedic study simultaneously? where Samachayavada, Jnana Samiti are not advised in our studies. Please clarify.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think that so one interesting thing to answer that question. See that this is an important distinction. Somehow I feel that the Atma is also what is called sadhya. It is to be established. So, generally speaking, in my life, I have this unbroken rule about sadhana and sadhya. So, for example, if I am hungry, that is my sadhya is that I want to not be hungry. So the sadhana is to get food. So this connection between what I want and how I get there is very common in my mind. So I extend that logic to Atma also. That Atma is also sadhya. And I have to have sadhana. I have to have sadhana chatushtaya. I have to do this. I have to do this. This is very common. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm the same way. Our acharyas say there is a difference, my dear. Atma is not sadhya. It is siddha. It is already there. Well, what does that mean? What it means is that my approach has to be totally different. If it is already praptasya praptihi, then I have to look at it completely differently. And that means, is it not I understand it? Is it because it used to be siddha and it is not now? It's not possible. Siddha means it's done. So my approach would be, to answer Shanti Kumar's question, is that by all means, do the sadhana chatushtaya to a point where you are reasonably capable of enquiry. After that, your enquiry should shift to the jnanam and not to the sadhana itself. Why? Because it is a siddha, swayam siddha. It's a siddha vastu. It's not a sadhya vastu. So that would be my answer, but we can go that with some more classes also. Sorry, you're next.
So I just wanted to namaskar. So I just wanted to know about moksha. I heard ISKCON Sabak Prabhupada something. I forget the name, but ISKCON Sabak. So he said it takes 1 second to get freedom, and I'm assuming freedom means moksha. And so what exactly, what are they talking about? And if understanding Paramatma, that there is no doer, there is no doing, like Sri Krishna said. So understanding just this is all consciousness, is that mukti?
That's it.
If I intellectually understand, then what's the point?
No, so that intellectually understanding doesn't really, that's not what, that means it's non-understanding.
Yes. So what kind of sadhana do we need to do to get to that point?
So, as we were discussing, you need to be equipped with the ability to understand that I am it. And so that means you have to educate yourself. And this is where, so they say in Vedanta that there are 3 aspects that you must follow. So one is Shruti, one is Yukti, and the third one is Anubhava. Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava. So Shruti means an authoritative knowledge of what is to be done. Because you can have somebody says, oh no, this do this, do this. That's not authoritative. But one which comes from, this is what is called apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means not born out of human mind. All religions that we see are not apaurushaya, they are paurushaya. They are just from the ego of some one person who says, I will show you a new way. That's not authoritative. And so the authoritative is Shruti, which is not done by any human beings. So that is the first one. Okay, so to answer your question, 3 things. You have to resort to what is Shruti. This is where Shravanam comes in. Shravanam doesn't mean just 1 or 2 books and 1 or 2 classes. It's a thorough understanding of all aspects of it. That's number 1. Then the second one is, it must make sense to me. It must be logical. So that is another part. The third one, this is where the dream comes in as a very important aspect of all the ones, including especially Mandukya, is Anubhava. Anubhava. Because you will never be convinced that this is a dream until it is pointed out, don't you see that when you were dreaming, it really was a nightmare to you. It wasn't saying, ah, ha, ha, ha. No, you were bothered as though it was real. But it is not. So that is the Anubhava. So to answer your question, just by saying you are the Atma means you have not completely studied the Shruti. You have not done the Mananam, which is the Yukti, to attest it, to see is what happens, this, questions, answers, your own. And finally it comes to the understanding that this is like a dream. When that happens, then the mukti is in a second. It doesn't really take any time.
But Lord Shiva gave like the 112 methods of self-realization and said, so where does that come in?
I think those Puranas and stories and so on, they are all meant to incentivize you, to really to make sure that you become. But as you become more serious, you have to question yourself. Who am I? What is happening to me? Where do I go from here to there? And then you see, you pick and choose things that really make sense to you, appeal to you. So out of the 112, you'll say, okay, this is what I want to do. So yeah, those are all ideas that people can give to make sure that you don't leave it, you're not casual about it, you're serious about it. That's all.
So basically that is meditative, something, a meditation type of things that you just, remove your doubts from, or remove your attention from being a karta or karma.
Absolutely, that's the final one, as we were discussing, exactly. Yeah.
Can I just quickly, the last one, Anubhava, can we consider as approachanya, like immediate?
So that's a more subtle question that needs to be answered. The reason I say that is, this is something to be understood. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity. Everything is aparoksha. There is no such thing as a paroksha. The question is, what is it that you see as aparoksha? Right now, if we are not jnani, my aparoksha anubhuti is that I am a limited person. When you become a jnani, that aparoksha anubhuti is I am an unlimited person. That's it. There is no difference. It is aparoksha, aparoksha, aparoksha. One is sakshat aparoksha, where somebody says, don't you see this? And so that becomes sakshat aparoksha. So the anubhava is also paroksha. It's also paroksha. But ultimately, everything is, what I'm saying is, when you're dreaming, it is also a paroksha. When you are waking, it is also a paroksha. It is you all the time. As Swami Akhandananji says, he says in Hindi, this is ye mera apa hai, my apa. Apa means my own self. And to see this apa, which is avyavahita, as we saw the definition of Vedanta, avyavahita means that it is continuous, never broken. I have to appreciate that. I don't appreciate it because my mind is only looking at paroksha, vyavahita, what is sadhya, sadhana. None of that really matters. So anyway, that's one aspect. So your question.
In Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says to Arjuna that you are my sin, Arjuna then says that now I understand that, and then after understanding, he goes and does his duty of fighting authorities. My understanding is, and I think you don't correct me, in spite of understanding that he is Krishna, he does that for the sheer joy of it. So in my life, my joys are, being a daughter, or in my job creating things which are not there yet. But when I go do those things, I tend to forget the teaching. So the question I have is at a very practical level, like how should I balance the two? Should I just focus on one, or basically how do I balance the two so that the ideal scenario probably is I do the things that that are my duty and that I enjoy, but at the same time I understand the message, the teaching, so that when I'm doing those things, I'm happy. I'm probably in the state of Arjuna was when he was fighting Kauravas.
Okay. So, couple of things. One is that when we become a jnani, there's very few, not easy to do, but we are already there and we just have to get to that point. But when we become a jnani, which is a very normal question that occurs, that means that you should have no likes, no dislikes, no kartritvam, nothing to be done. Then what should you do? So the answer given, we have limited time, we can do that later, but the brief answer to that is nothing changes except for an insight as to what is happening. That's it. Just like in the analogy of that play with that mother and so on, once you understand this is a play, the play must go on because there is a script, there is a story, there is a purpose, there is an entertainment, all of that goes on. And so nothing changes. This is for a jnani. Most of us are not at that point. So what that means is we do not really understand. We don't understand until we understand we don't understand. So at that point in time, I still need to continue to play a part in the play while my quest for understanding becomes more real. So because in fact there's a story behind it which I think I really appreciated that. I don't remember where I heard that from. There was a play. There's a movie, and so a guy was recruited for it, and his part was that he has to chase a robber at 100 miles per hour in the car. This is his role. So they all tested it. He says, "Can you drive that fast? Are you a good driver?" He says, "Oh yeah, I can do that." He says, "Okay, so that's your role." Okay, then the movie starts and he has to chase. In the middle of this thing, he says, and oh, by the way, he was told that the robber actually escapes. You cannot catch him. But you have to really go through the traffic and so on. In the middle of it, he says, "Why am I doing this? The robber is going to escape anyway." Okay? So he slows down to 55 and turns his radio on and so on. And so there's a helicopter upstairs. He says, "What's happening to him? He's losing it," so on. So they called him and he said, "What'd you do?" He says, "I don't know. It was just a play, and this guy was escaping anyway. So I thought, why should I injure myself, with an accident?" This is the situation. There is already a play going on. Okay? And you'll make things work. And so the story of that one was, he says, "Okay, I'm going to recommend nobody ever hires you again." So this is exactly right. So if I'm not a jnani, so this is a very interesting thing. If I'm a jnani, I should still play a part. If I'm not a jnani, I should still stay apart. So what's the big difference? The big difference is how serious are you in finding yourself? So this is where it says in Sadhana Chatushtaya, there is Viveka, Vairagya, there is Shatka Sampatti, and then there is Mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam means that you get so desperate, "I've got to understand." That is what one needs. Until then, it is like, I'll also go to a movie, then I'll go to a class, then I'll do this, then I'll travel. None of that really matters. But if you are really serious about it, then you put everything into perspective and do what is really necessary for your own good, for your own self. So, I don't know. Hopefully that will be. You had a question? Yes.
Namaste, Vijayji. I have a question of clarification, kind of. So I was under the impression that Mandukya Upanishads and Karika, they're two different things, and that Mandukya is just like a very short, compressed version, pretty much of everything else. And if, let's say, you read Mandukya Upanishads and you understand, it's like very clear to some people, right? And then you don't need to study anything else.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, even if you just read and come to understanding of the first mantra, you're like covered.
Yeah.
If you read Mandukya and you're not quite getting it, you go to the next one, let's say Karika or whatever, and then or you start with Bhagavad Gita, right? Because it's kind of as simple as it gets, right?
Yeah.
As far as I understand. So, would it be kind of right to think that, let's say, I'm getting close to understand Mandukya, right? And would it be helpful to the previous one that we also studied, the Shiva Sankalpa?
Yeah.
To also study that as well, so your mind gets into the right perspective to understand Mandukya better, and also, and that's talking to your mind, and then also Gayatri mantra, because then you're asking from the help from gods.
So, if I can understand your question, the karika, the basic thing we should see is that we do not understand. We do not understand. I mean, even when we think we understand, we really don't. Okay? And so we need to continue. Thereby, karika is necessary because, it's interesting. I'll just show you one thing. Swami Dayananji once said there was a guy who came to him and said, Swamiji, I need your advice. So he said, yeah. He said, Swamiji, I wonder, this is, I think, was a real case. He said, I'm wondering whether I should stay in this country or go back to India. So Swamiji said, it's very obvious you should stay here. So he says, Swamiji, why do you say that? He says, you would not have come to me if you were sure about going to India. Okay? So you have all these doubts and so on. So this is our situation. If you understood Mandukya, you would not be here. You would not even be asking the question. So none of us really understand. So to get an understanding, we have to keep on studying. And all of those things that you mentioned, Shiva Sankalpa Sutta, Gayatri Mantra, Karika, all these things are important. Very soon you begin to understand, who am I? I am independent. I don't really need anything. I don't need any experiences. I don't need money. I don't need friends. I don't need anything. I am what I am. When that comes in, then your understanding comes closer and closer and closer. So a lot to do here to that point.
Yeah, it's kind of like similar to the question before as well. It's kind of, as far as I understand, as long as you're still have a question, you did not get
Quite
it.
right. Exactly right. Okay, are we okay with time? We need about half hour or so to go through some other things. But anyway, I'm very happy to do that. Please.
Hari Om, Namaste. I did not have, when you were talking, I was reminded of Dakshinamurti Stotra Vishwam Pashyati Karika.
Yes.
When you said Maya Paribrahanta, right? And then when you were talking, when you was quoting Bhagavad Gita, and also I saw the same thing, Sukha Dukkha Same Krutva.
Yeah.
So there are so many important information which you gave, and even when you said about Asurya Namate Loka, when you talked about it, I was just going to say thank you for all the teaching, because I think I can, when you're talking, I can relate myself to various Upanishads or various things which I have heard.
I think, as Akshay also said, it's all there. We see everything, but it doesn't quite dawn on us until we begin to really go into it. But it's all there in various places and so on. You talk about the, it's interesting. What I find is that as you begin to get a better understanding based on whatever teaching you're doing, exactly as you said, passages from the various Upanishads and Gita and so on begin to say, my God, this is true. That's what they were saying. I'll give you one example that happened to me relatively recently, I would say in the last 3 or 4 months. Because I also taught Dakshinamurti Stotram, as you know, Vishwam darpanadishyamana nagari tulyam najantargatam pasyanatmani mayaya bahirivotbhutam yatha nidraya yat sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam evadvayam tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. So something clicked to me through that first verse, what Swami Akhandananda pointed out. He said, none of this Sukha, he says the whole thing is a kind of like a adhyaropa to you where it doesn't leave any marks on you. So this was a discussion that we will also have in one of these classes on Atma's asangata. Is the asangatvam is the discussion. Okay? And the example he gave finally dawned on me from the first verse of Dakshinamurti's story. He said, look at a mirror. There is a lot of stuff happening on the mirror. Does it leave any marks on it? I said, oh my God, that is true. He says and that's what it says, that Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam, that supposing you have a mirror, as in India many of the places do, in the veranda, they have a big mirror. I know my Pami's home in Firozpur, they have a mirror out in the front. And so as people come in, if you're looking at the mirror, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of color, there's a lot of motion, and so on. Does any of that leave? So the Atma is like a mirror, because it is taking in so much at this time. Doesn't leave any marks. I said, my God, I kind of understood when I was teaching, but not this clearly. So you're absolutely right. As you begin to get a better understanding, various passages that you and I may have studied begin to repeat themselves in my mind much more clearly. Yep.
Yeah. So true. That's what I was trying to say, that my understanding has become much better with
Wonderful.
all the assimilation of
Very
that.
good. Excellent. Right, I think we might want to... Okay.
So there is a story you don't know, but I think you have repeated it. It's about a person who thinks that he's a cat.
Oh, yeah.
And the dogs are trying to catch him. I think you only told one time. It was very profound. Whenever you get a chance, please repeat it.
Okay, I'll do that. So this is a... that was Swami Vidiratmananda who first told me, and I was very... Yeah, it all comes from Swami Dayananji. Everything is, yes, from there. Anyway, the story is that this man suddenly said, I am not going out. So his wife said, what? Why? Why aren't you? What's happening? He says, I am a cat and I'm afraid all the dogs are going to attack me. She says, what are you talking about? You're not a cat. You're my husband. You're a human being. He says, I don't care what you say. I am not going out. I'm just staying here having my dinner and I'm not going out. And he was really real. It was absolutely. So finally she got hold of a psychiatrist and said, sir, can you please work on this guy? And so he said, okay. He went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said, listen, you're being totally foolish. There's a cat, and there you are. Do you look like the cat? He says, no, I don't look like the cat. I'm much bigger. He says, okay. The cat is saying, wow, meow, meow. You're talking. are you like that cat? He says, no, you're right. I'm absolutely. So after a while, he said, okay, you're all done? He said, yes. So he goes home and his wife says, okay, let's go out. He says, I'm not going out. So she says, what happened? I thought you all got cured and everything. He says, I know I'm not a cat, but the dogs may not know that I'm a cat. So I'm still not going out. So this is exactly as when we are sitting here and saying, you're the Atma, you're free. So yeah, that really looks so true. You're the Paramatma, you're not the Jivatma, meditation. Yeah, those eyes are absolutely true. Okay, so you're done? No, I'm not completely done yet. I'm still the Jivatma. So that was the story.
I think that explains a lot of the questions.
Anyway, I'm happy to have a session with you. And if you think that this is useful, then perhaps a couple of times during the year, we should get together. So let's move on to the next section of our get-together, which is also an important one. So with that, let's just say a small prayer and then we will move on. Om Satoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. So we thought another topic that we should talk about is the Arsha Vidya Center as an entity. So as you can see, I'm getting old and I've had a good run. As many of the students have said, we have been very fortunate to study quite a long list of important texts and so on for the last 30 years, really, if you ask and thanks for the patience of my wife. So that's been going on. Now I think I'm approaching the point where we need to move on to the next phase. And so already, as you know, I'm limiting myself to really, and I'm very fortunate to get exposed to this very deep teaching by Swamiji, Swami Akhandanandaji, that built on all the knowledge of Swami Dayanandji has given me. And so I'm just going to do that for the next couple of years. And then we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to be very active in terms of organizing, teaching, and so on. That said, we need to think about what to do next. So what should we do? It'll be really not a good idea to just dissolve the whole thing, because we do have a nucleus. We have excellent pedigree. We've been taught by some Mahatmas, and I think that we should continue the nucleus of teaching in this area. The question is how best to do that. So, quite a couple of the students have some ideas about going forward with it. There are two people that I would like to call upon. One would be Chawla, and the other one would be Raj Paripatidar. And Raj, I think, would look into some of the organizational aspect in terms of expenses and so on. And Chawla would look into the teaching of the Swamis, organizing, and so on. So I'm going to now set aside and let them give you their ideas. And then have any discussion that will go from there, and we can look to see what we should do next.
Hari Om, everybody. As moving forward, as Vijayji pointed out, AVC, when I started with Vijayji, he was instrumental in my growth a lot. He introduced all the Swamijis. We had regular visits to AVG, and every year we had visiting Swamijis at least 2 times a year, sometimes 3 times a year in Bay Area. Last time we organized by Swami Paramatmananda, and my question is that moving forward, all these acharyas giving us a lot of knowledge, it affirms our own knowledge through what Vijayji is teaching us. So my question to all of you is, Raj is gonna take a count. How many of you would like to have Swamiji's visit Bay Area? And in person you attend those classes, because it's very important to have knowledge one-to-one, like, Swamiji is in presence, not just remote. So at least I would see some hands to see it. How many of you gonna be doing that?
Are you taking notes?
Yeah.
You are taking notes, right? Okay. Okay. Now the question comes is, people who would like, we used to have morning classes with meditation and a lecture, and then in the evening also. So both working people as well as retired people can attend those sessions. So how many of you are for morning sessions? Morning sessions. Well, we can adjust depending on 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock type thing. In person. And morning session we will have it on the weekend too. But weekend is a different thing right now. I'm going to go into the retreat later on. So yes, most of the visiting AVG outreach program is going to be weekend, correct? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So most of you can at least spend time, morning session and evening sessions. And that's the idea of having those Swamijis come over here.
So, if you want, so I have an issue with the evening sessions, being that most of the time they're in this area, and it's late when we're driving, especially the sessions that happen in winters. It's really dark and it's late, and I don't feel comfortable driving late. So, at least for me, that's an issue. I don't know others may not. So, morning sessions or weekend sessions is more probable. I don't know how many people have that issue with an evening session.
Yes, I recognize that can be, but mostly May, June, we can do something like that. And a couple of them we have it in the summer session, right? So November is the only month that is going to be a problem. Okay? May.
So I think main days will be Saturday and Sunday, and we are planning to do 2 talks every morning, okay? That will just keep it to the morning session only. Yeah. So do 1 talk earlier and then take a short break and then do the second talk. So that will be the primary time frame, Saturdays and Sunday. And then half additional,
half a day.
Yeah, essentially just 2 talks each. And if there's really a request for an additional satsang, we could consider that, whether it's before lunch or after lunch, okay? Right now we're not even planning a lunch. But just to keep it simple and straightforward, just have 2 talks Saturday and Sunday. And now, in addition to that, if Swamis are coming for more than 2 days, then we could consider having additional sessions in the weekdays, right? And so there we were thinking that, yeah, there's traffic issues and things like that. So we might as well do it in the morning for those people who are retired and things like that. We'll always have online anyway, right? So people can always catch up online talks and continue. So that is our main, currently, right? Kalpana, we have been thinking about it. This is our main. We wanted to get a vote from you guys, so if that's acceptable to you, then that will remain our primary arrangement.
So one suggestion I just occurred to me, given that when the Swamis and Swaminis come, they need to have a block of time to really communicate. Just having 2 or 3 classes is not enough. So what if we did the following? Okay, I'm just an idea. I think your idea to have these morning classes is a good one. Okay, so we have Saturday and Sunday, 2 classes each.
Yeah.
So there's 4 classes. Okay, possibly Friday night. I don't know. What if we augmented by online classes for few more nights?
But that's the
Okay.
That's the
about
point.
that,
We talked about it. Not in the evening, just do it in the morning. All of the sessions, if they're here for more than those days.
If there are more than more days, okay, so augment that with online classes.
In the morning.
In the morning.
We do it in the morning.
What he's saying,
I know he's saying that. I'm just saying that our thought was
Okay,
that
that-
in the morning, whoever can come. And if not, it'll be online anyway, that they can watch later.
I see.
You know, that is the thought.
But then
Because
that
anyway,
defeats the
we're gonna have problems in the evening. Everybody's complaining about that. And and if for Swamis to come from far, it's harder to logistic and
Of
things
course. Yeah.
like that. Now, the other thing we're planning also to have lunch satsang for the Swamis. Okay, so during the weekdays or weekends, there'll be opportunity to have, one-on-one and ability to talk to the Swami, get to know him, connect with them, right? Things like that, ask personal questions.
So one thing I would say is that Swami Viditatmananda ji is working very hard to make sure that the next phase of the Sailorsburg ashram, in terms of the teaching there and also the rest of the country, we now have 4,000 people, is being done by qualified people. And so he's working very hard to understand. Eventually what needs to happen is that these visiting people, the newer ones, need to have a rapport with you so that you feel, yes, this person can communicate with me. So for a while, for the next 2-3 years, this program that you have, I think it's a good one to give you an exposure. Then what will happen is that you will probably go to Sailorsburg and study with them, or they might come here for a longer time. But for this interim period, I think the program that you have to have several sessions augmented by online classes is a good one. I think that will work out because we're going to try out 4 or 5 Swamis and Swaminis to see who you like, who communicate with you, who resonate with you rather. Yeah.
Right, yeah. You want to explain about this one?
so
So the first one that may be coming, should we talk about?
Yeah.
Swami Muktatmananda ji?
Yeah.
we'll do that on the first one. Swami Muktananda is coming in May.
So Swami Muktatmananda Saraswati, he came about a few months ago. Most of us are new with him, but he is one of the outreach program. And I had talked to him to see what his preferences are, and he suggested either 3rd week of May or 3rd week of June. So we have 3 choices, and we wanted to get an idea of what will be a preference? Again, he said 3 days. I asked him how many days would he want to come. So he said 3 days, which would mean Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we could at least
Very
have
good.
5 live
Excellent.
sessions Friday evening, let's say, for example, and
Excellent.
2 each morning, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So his choices were May 17 to 19, or June 21 to 23, or June 28 to 30. So, any particular preference or any?
I would prefer June.
I would prefer end of June because we're going with Swamiji and the
Yes.
Guruji.
June 8, that's why it's not there.
Too close.
Okay, so end of June would be the ideal one, the last one, June 28 to 30, I would assume. Yeah.
Does that back into the July 4th?
I will check, but I doubt it.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, right?
No, because he needs to be back there, so he will make sure that he does not travel.
Okay, so, okay, then I'll communicate with him. And once he comes, we'll talk about the topics and all that later. Yeah.
So in April, usually we have Swami Paramatmananda, but this year it didn't feasible, and he is starting his 3 months course in Rajkot. So that is April, May, June. So he's not coming in April. And later we're gonna have Swamini and Madhu is here. Madhu is not here. So Sachidananda.
Yeah, Sachidananda.
Sachidananda is another outreach Swamiji, and we can do it. I think it's August, September.
August.
Right, August or September. Yeah. So those, all of them are in summer, basically. Only person is a Swamini comes in November. It's winter time, later in the year. So, but then with her we can have only weekend morning sessions,
This time you had
like we had it last time.
So how about Swami B and T? They are stopped coming here?
Very different. Swami V for sure, and I think Swami TV also. I think that they are also so preoccupied with the. So I think that they have online sessions that you can go to, but as far as physical presence, no.
So Swami TV has just finished Dhammapada second time, and he is committed to Phoenix. So which is, but he will not come here. He is doing that 3-week course.
And then he's doing an 8-week course, also an ABG. 5 weeks course. 5 weeks.
So Swami,
Yeah.
like the piece we used to have with Swami
That's all I do.
in Varavati Kumari Center, that's no longer possible. They won't
No.
rent the place.
No. And believe it or not, the retreat, I would love to have something like that, but it is very hard to find a place. I was working for Swami Paramatmananda to come for a retreat, but Sandipani Ashram is now reconstructing the whole thing, so it's not feasible. Finding a place is really hard.
Those is where I felt like we got a lot to being
I agree.
the Swamis
I agree.
and just taking 2 or 3 days.
So, Ronnie, my feeling would be based on that. Let's start with this one phase
Right.
where we are. Then, when something sticks, then the next phase would be to arrange for a retreat where people can do that. So, let's progress it on.
Okay.
I think we're running out. So, Raj, you want to talk about the finances and structures and so on and so forth?
Well, I think I hope everybody's receiving our newsletters. If not, please let Kalpana know or over here to make sure that we got the right email ID and phone number. So that and then if you need any help, we do need some volunteers to help each other out, basically. Right now, I'm the only one doing it, but it'd be good to have other people who technically can help out with these issues.
Also arranging the Swamiji's visit,
Yes.
we really need a lot of volunteers. It's a lot of thing goes behind, if some pieces, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, certainly we need
So I
more
would tell
volunteers.
that
And
if people are interested in doing that, please give me your name and number and I can,
yeah, send it to Chala, and send. So because we have a WhatsApp list right now, and it worked really well for this particular event. We have few of us have been on that list, and it's going to work excellent. Okay, and we're going to use the WhatsApp groups as a dynamic group. The people respond immediately, respond quickly, and we have polls on it. We have discussions on it. We have the tools available now on WhatsApp to get an agreement, right? Consensus, whatever it is that we need to get. So we don't need to have in-person meetings all the time. We can use the WhatsApp. Now, talking about that, there is also an ABC Satsang group in WhatsApp. Besides the ABC teachings group that Vijayji's group is, we're going to keep that particular group only for his teachings and his classes and any questions and answers on that. Okay. But in addition to that, we have the ABC Satsang group, where there is a broader discussion about the visiting Swamis, about Vedanta, about, anything people want to share in their understanding, whatever it is that they want to share. And additionally, we'll be talking about other topics and have dynamic discussions, surveys, polls, and things like that. So please do make sure that you are on that group. ABC Satsang group. I have put that link in the last newsletter on it. And if some of you are not on there, just send a private message to me and I can send you the link, the invite link. Okay, so please be sure. If you want to participate, and we need more participation, not just one-way communication, and we need some feedback from you guys. And that's a good place to give feedback. Okay, so please participate in that. And we always have a registration page that will be sent to a newsletter or in that WhatsApp group, where you can put your name down and register for lunches or events. So we have an idea of how much to organize, right? And then theoretically, we should also have a little bit of fundraiser to, thank Vijayji for his teachings and cover some of the expenses that ABC as an organization has, like rental of this place or rental of Swamini's hotel expenses, things like that. Those are general things that are going on. But just keep people aware that there is some activity going on as a center, right?
Even with the YouTube and WhatsApp group, we're gonna have to pay membership.
Yeah, we have constantly with the live impact, we have maintenance costs on that one. We recently upgraded the software and the additional tools and things like that.
So Raj, what kind of an annual expense level do you have approximately?
It depends on the cost of Swami's visits and how much expenses we end up paying for hotels, and those are some of the major ones.
Mostly we are covered as far as donation and that kind of thing.
The last couple of years since we went online, the donation level has been a little bit less because there have not been the Guru Dakshina time, the opportunity to, that kind of thing. So the last couple of years since we went COVID, online thing, we won't have this.
So again, my question is, I know you have the database software, which is a very important part. Are we looking at about $3,000 or $4,000 a year?
Yeah, something like that would be perfectly
something
fine.
like that. $3,000 or $4,000 is what we need. And what you might think about is you can give me a Guru Dakshina once a year for my teaching, or the other thing you can do is just we can have a kind of like a registration, something people can give $100 a year, and then that takes care of that. So if there's about 50, 60 of you, or even less.
Right.
So something like that you may want to think.
Already on the Arsha Vidya Center website, right? The donation link is already there.
Does that 5,000-6,000 take care of the Swami's coming?
So it takes care of their hotels and this arrangement, but it would be good to give them a separate Guru Dakshina that they can go back with. That it doesn't cover. That's there.
It's the expenses part.
And also their travel, that also is covered by themselves.
The travel for the AVG, the AVG covers.
AVG
No,
covers.
not with Swami Paramatma.
Paramatmananda is different because
He's not, that's exactly right.
That's true.
But in general, we don't have to pay for all the expenses, only the arrangement that we make here for their stay.
Yeah.
So I think that plus the database, plus a few other things, camera, this or the other, we're looking at about maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a year. So I don't know. My feeling would be that what you should do is think about a check for maybe $100 a year.
Or nowadays, please prefer to pay online. Okay, checks is
No, I don't mean a check.
Zelle, there's Zelle. You have the Zelle link. You put it straight into the accounts. There's PayPal and other ways to pay, right? So,
All right. Anything else?
no, I think just keep aware that we are sending our newsletters here, and as the Swamis come, we'll be sending it out. The other two Swamis, Satchitananda is a younger Swami that some of you may or may not have. He's become a resident Swami at AVG now. Very sharp guy, because he's younger, is open to different ways of understanding and teaching. Okay, and he's like Sarvapriyananda. He likes to understand what's happening in science, and that's why he's gone to Harvard right now to understand Buddhism. So it's a little bit broader
Is
perspective.
Swami Satchidananda going to be at AVG when we go in early June?
I don't know that.
I think it might be good to have him share for some of our classes. Maybe he will teach.
Okay, I'll see.
He's a residential there.
It's good to have that. We met him last time.
Yeah.
We saw him. We didn't have a chance to formally listen to any
Okay.
of his discourses. That might be helpful.
I think talking of the Salersburg retreat, just for your information, we have a very good group of about, I think the last time I checked, 24 people had already signed up. I know a couple of them, Surendra and a few others. I know Anjali is still thinking about it. So we might have 25 to 30 people. What we need to do is, if you are possibly thinking about it, to let us know, because Chandra and I will then get the cars, the airlines, all of that done. And we need to get going on that. So please, if you are thinking about it and you haven't told us, please let us know, and then we will finalize it. Okay, wonderful. I think the good part would be, during the 18 classes, we'll cover the entire Kaivalya Upanishad from start to finish, which would be a good completion. So it'll be good if you can join. Anyway, if there's no other lingering questions, so nice that you could all come today. Let's have a lunch together, and hopefully we can do this a couple of times a year. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Everybody can use from this door to go into the.
Hari Om, Swami.
Hari Om.
Good to see you after a long time.
Wonderful, very good to. I saw your registration. I said good.
Yeah. I am. I would say that life work is continuously coming up in my life. But I feel like now I got it. Then that's a question coming. I always have this. I won't take much time. Maybe I think I sent you an email. I think you responded to me. I would probably need an hour.
Sure.
Face to face, because it is going to be